Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very overdue video. We're standing in front of a door here and there is a reason. I thought today we would take a look at my Nintendo Game Room of 2020. I've been collecting for almost 8 years now, and over that time I've amassed quite a big collection, and I really wanted to show you guys where it's come since then. I haven't made a room tour since 2016, and since then I've moved into a new house, and so I've had to build this game room from scratch again. It was pretty tough to get these things organized and in a way that I enjoyed, and it's taken almost 2 years to get to this point, but I'm excited to show you guys, and without further ado, let's check out the Nintendo room. Alright, so I thought we would begin the tour right where you walk into the room. The first thing we have here is a custom built shelf. This is something that I wanted to make sure I got put in when we moved in here, especially because I was losing space. But essentially it's kind of a shelf built into the wall, and I decided it would be a perfect place to house all of my handheld stuff. So the shelf itself is actually surrounded by these lights that I got on Amazon, and they're really perfect and cheap because you can essentially change them to any color you want, which is great. So I can match it to red to theme Nintendo, but I thought with the games here, it highlighted the white, kind of bluish, highlighted the games well. So before we look down on the shelf, I thought I'd just pull out, this is all of my loose handheld games. It's kind of hard to display these, so I thought just a little thing like this would work well. We have things from original Game Boy, you know, highlights like Super Mario World, to things like Game Boy Color, and then to like SP, right? And a little bit of 3DS and DS stuff back here, but most of that stuff is in the box and stuff. But as we come down, you'll see my boxed Game Boy stuff. Not too much yet, but I think I have a good collection of at least loose stuff. And then as you come down here, you have double stacked DS games, of course, some highlights like Pokemon. And then you come down here and we've got the 3DS stuff. And just, you know, back here, I've got a Super Mario 3D magnet set, little things like that I have around the game room. And then down here, just some extra cases, extra things, you know, for the GameCube, Game Boy stuff, some chargers, an extra DS, things that don't have a home, but essentially this can become a extra space when I get more games. So moving on from there, with the games, you have to have the handhelds themselves close. So up here we have the first shelf, which is all of my loose handheld stuff. So we go from Game Boy to Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance, and then we've got a bunch of different colors for the SP, which is my favorite handheld of all time, by the way. And then we've got the 3DS and DS stuff here. So it's a little bit out of order here because you go from the 3DS back to DS, but I think it looks really well here. So if we move up here, we've got all of the different boxes that I own for my handhelds. So we're starting from the Game Boy Micro Special Edition, we're going to the SP, we've got the DS Lite box, the 3DS, and the new 3DS XL. So I'm definitely missing a lot of the boxes from my collection, but as the years go by, I'm sure I'll get them either from garage sales or eBay. So before we move on to the rest of the collection, I thought we'd take a look at one more thing down here. This isn't handhelds necessarily, but I thought it looked well and fit well here. We've kind of got the Amiibo wall. I'm missing definitely a lot of them, but these are some of my favorites that I've gotten since Amiibos were released. We've also got some art here. You might have seen this in some of my older game rooms. These were created by my girlfriend, and I think they still look great here. And before we move on, one more thing. Almost forgot about this. This is a McDonald's toy display. So it's one of those things you'd walk in as a kid, and these were the different things that they had available. This was just a cool little, I guess, knick-knack that we found at a garage sale one day. So it just goes to show some of the things that you can find out there. Okay, so this is the second part of the collection, and this is what I would consider the plushie shelf and the Zelda corner. So up here we've got all of the different plushies that I've collected over the past 8 years. We've got some duplicates like double Marios and double Luigis, but overall I think they look great here, all in one big collection on one shelf. And of course we've also got the second Valve Index tracker here. So if we come down to the Zelda shelf, the first thing here, we've got the Majora's Mask 3D limited edition that came with the game, and of course, Skull Kid himself. And we've got the Spirit Tracks figures down here beside the Phantom Hourglass manga. So if we come here, we've got some cases, and my favorite being the Sheikah Slate from the Master Edition of Breath of the Wild. We've also got my Hyrule Edition 3DS XL, Ocarina of Time Strategy Guide, and then another one of my favorites, which is the figure or statue that comes in the Master Edition of Breath of the Wild, sitting behind this kind of beautiful holographic Zelda frame. So if we come down here, one of the first things that definitely catches people's eyes is the Twilight Princess Ganondorf figure that I got from Nintendo World in New York. There was a Link one as well, but Ganondorf was my favorite, and I'm super happy that I picked this one up. It looks great in the collection. As we move on here, we've got the Master Edition of Breath of the Wild, the big box. It comes with the soundtrack, the little coin. I've got even the map out here. Okay, so in this part of the game room, we've got the display case. So basically, this houses anything from expensive items that I feel would be better protected behind glass, to even my Pokemon figure collection. Before we get into that though, I'm sure you noticed the neon sign I've got back here. So this is actually something that I got on eBay a couple years back, and for a really good price. And it's pretty gorgeous up here, and it still works great, and I highly recommend it or something similar for your game room if you're looking to add some personality into it. So as we open the display case here, the first thing you're going to notice on the top here is the Big Box Earthbound Complete in Box. So this is including with the cart, the player's guide, and of course the scratch and sniff inside intact. And then beside it here, I've got an N64 controller, and while it doesn't fit with Earthbound, it definitely looks really, really cool up here. Essentially, it's trying to replicate an NES controller. Again, I did this a couple years back, so the paint has started to chip, if you can see on the top there, but I think with a touch-up, it would look great again. So if we come down here, we've got all of my Pokemon figures and kind of collectible pieces. We've got, anything from the little figures to the bigger ones to some of the movies to a strategy guide in the back. Essentially, anything but the games I decided to put in here. I couldn't quite fit the games in here, so for now they stay in the game section. But hopefully one day I can kind of build an entire Pokemon collection in one kind of sitting, in one select place. So if we move down here, we've got the Virtual Boy. So this is quite an odd piece in Nintendo's history, but it is something that I definitely know I wanted in my collection. Again, I got this a couple years back, and I've only got 4 games, but part of the games I have, though, Wario Land and Tellero Boxer, those are some good games. So even though the Virtual Boy was technically a failure, it did have some good games on it. And of course there's games like Jack Bros, which are so expensive, but maybe one day I'll be able to add those to my collection. So if we go down to the bottom here, you'll be able to take a look at the Gundam GameCube. So this is essentially a Japan exclusive, and it is pretty limited in print, and there's not that many other people that I know that have it. I actually did an unboxing on my channel, so if you want to see what the console looks like there, you can get a more in-depth look there. But I do have the controller out because this is my favorite controller of all time and the one that I use, which I probably shouldn't. But it's got a really cool logo up here, and it's also two-tone, so it has 2 different kinds of reds, and the same goes for the console and the Game Boy player that's attached. And then the last thing here, I just have a little Gundam CD case here, something that I got at a garage sale. Not Nintendo, but I thought it would have looked really good here in part of the collection. So as we move back up, you can see on the door here, I've actually just got a few little things, a Game Boy bottle opener, Mario Sunshine keychain here. And then finally, to end it up on the top here, we've got the DK Bongos, and I've just got 2 plushies on the side here that wouldn't quite fit in the plushie collection up there. And if we just make a little turn right here, I've also got a Luigi's Mansion promotional little piece on the wall here that my brother actually got for me, which was really, really cool. Alright, so this is the shelf that essentially houses all of my home console games, and some complete in-box consoles, as well as some other little things. So if we take a look at the top shelf here, we'll come across all of my complete in-box GameCubes, minus the Gundam console itself that I have in the display case. We have the black GameCube, the Indigo, and then we've got a special console here. So this is the Metroid Prime console. It's essentially the exact same console as the Platinum back here, except it's got this little sleeve that comes around it, and it comes bundled with the game. I've also got some of my Wavebirds here and my receivers, and so these are all from my childhood. So if we come here, here's all of my NES games and Super Nintendo games. I'm definitely really happy with the NES games, but I certainly think I'm still lacking in Super Nintendo stuff. One to point out, actually, is Double Dragon 2. This is for sure my favorite game of all time on the NES, a classic. I do have, as you can see, some complete in-box games. I've got Manhattan Project, Mega Man 2, Battletoads, but for sure, I definitely plan on getting the boxes someday. And then on the sides here, I've actually got some literature that you can read. Of course, every game room needs something for you to read. Here I have things like Guinness World Records, just some strategy guides, things like that. And then on here, I've got Nintendo Power magazines. So if we come down here, this is going to be all of my N64 games. N64 games are hard to display, but I think I did a pretty good job here, putting my boxes back here, and then putting some of the other boxes in the middle here to balance it out. Mario Party, a fantastic game, can't go wrong. I do plan to get all the box protectors for my boxes soon, but that will be someday. So if we come down to the GameCube shelf, I've kind of done a similar thing with the NES games up there. I've done double stacks going across here. GameCube is for sure one of my favorite consoles of all time, the system that I grew up with, and I actually finally just completed all 4 Mario parties on the console, or getting all 4 Mario parties on the console, so I'm really happy about that. And overall, I think my GameCube collection is really good. I've got a lot of the classic titles. I've got, you know, my Zelda, I've got my Paper Marios, my Animal Crossing, all the essential games you'd need for GameCube. And on both sides, I've got, again, just some more things for you to read if you're in the game room. So if we come down here, actually, so here we've got all of my Wii and Wii U games. I don't have as many Wii U games as I'd like, and I definitely have some titles on here on the Wii that I don't really need. So as I get more quality games, I'll probably get rid of some of the shovelware games. But on the side, I've got the Donkey Kong Jungle Beat box here. We've got a Wii Pro controller. We've got Mario Party 10 on the top here. The Amiibo set that comes with Bowser. And then on this side, we've got another Wii U Pro controller, sorry. This is really interesting. So the Wii Mini is actually something that was only released in Canada, which is really cool. So if we come down here to the second last shelf, we've got my Switch games here. Definitely a small library, but I'm really happy with the games that I have, and of course I'll continue to get games as more come out. But I've got some of my boxes for controllers, things like that, and then I've got the Game & Watch that actually just came out for Mario Bros. And something that's really interesting is this is a custom-made Banjo 3 box that I actually did back in high school. And it doesn't look like it aged very well, but you know what? I think it still looks fun in the collection. And then not Nintendo, but I have my Valve Index back there if anyone's interested. And down here, on the final row here, I've got my first N64 console down here. This is the Smoke Gray, the first of the Fantastic that I'm showing here. A console that I want to have with my other N64s up there, but I just couldn't quite fit. I've got some other extra boxes down here, some of the NES Classic Edition boxes down here, and a little GameCube poking its head over there. So this is the area where I play all of my games, and it also houses the rest of my boxed consoles. So if we take a look at the top shelf here, we've got the rest of my N64s. So we've got my Ice Blue Complete in Box, my Great Purple, and then we've got my Japan exclusive Orange Pikachu N64, and we've also got the Clear Blue N64, which is not the same as Ice Blue actually. So as you notice, I do have the Smoke Gray complete in box, but because it doesn't fit with the other ones here, for now it's staying down where the games are. So if we take a look, I've got my CRT TV. It's not the best for sure, but it gets the job done for now. And there's definitely some that I'm looking to invest into, so maybe I could show a picture of what I'm thinking. Now this isn't quite Nintendo, but I do have my Atari 2600 up here, and that is because I've got 2 Donkey Kong cartridges here, and I thought, well, it's the same color as Donkey Kong, and I thought it worked out well here. So when we come to the actual set of consoles themselves, I've got the nice red backlight, the same as the handheld games there, to really make them pop and show off. But we've got, of course, the NES, the SNES, the N64, the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, the Wii U gamepad, and the Switch. And I've also got the NES Mini here, just on top. I'm still missing the Super Nintendo Mini, but I'm just happy that I have this one. Okay, so we're at the final part of the Nintendo game room, and this is the holy grail of my collection. It is absolutely my favorite part, and I'm so happy I got this back in 2014. Before we take a look at the Mario Bros. Arcade machine, let's take a look at the top. So up here are kind of some of the things that I don't quite have a place for, that I thought looked really well. We've kind of got, you know, some of the Mario figures here. We've got the U-Force for the NES back there, Conker's Bad Fur Day soundtrack, and my Wii U complete in box. So as we come, this is an original Mario Brothers arcade machine, and you can tell, especially just by the way that this looks, that it was in an arcade. You can see some of the cigarette burns of people that probably used this back in the day when it was in some kind of arcade. It supports 2 players, and it's an absolute blast. Some parts are not original. Of course, the sticker is not original, and the base that holds the arcade is not. But other than that, as far as I know, it is an original arcade. So if we take a look down here, you can even see some of the marks of people trying to put in their coins. And it actually also came with a special little keychain, which was cool. So as we open this up, you can actually have a look at how many plays were on it before the machine was set to free play, which is really, really awesome. I actually used to know a lot more about working this thing when I first got it, but it really has worked so flawlessly that I haven't had any issues at all. And it even comes with the original coin box. And it's something that, you know, I think I want to go more in depth in its own video. So for now, we'll close that up, but this is definitely my favorite part of the collection. So before we end off today, while this isn't Nintendo, I thought it would be good to look at because it is in the room and it don't have an extra place to put it, so I thought why not show it off in the game room. So essentially we kind of have the VR corner. If we start on the bottom here, we've got the Valve Index, my favorite VR headset of all time. We've got my Oculus Rift, my Oculus Go, and we've got Half-Life 2 here, just because it fit with Half-Life Alyx coming out. And this is a very special piece. So this is a haptic suit, a haptic vest you could call it. Essentially, it has 40 vibrational points that when worn and when playing a natively supported game will simulate a lot of the feeling that your character feels. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed this collection video, please be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell, and also be sure to check out my social media and Twitch pages in the description below. I'm so happy that I was able to share this with you guys. I had been waiting to get my collection to a point that was organized and that I felt it was presentable to other collectors and fans of Nintendo. If you want to see something specific, please let me know in the comments below. I plan on doing lots of specific collection videos and specific things about certain stuff in my collection. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.